So as chiropractors, we look for a couple of different things. And as functional neurologists or functional neurology chiropractors, we look at something called MAPS, right? MAPS. Mobility, alignment, pain, as it refers to like inflammation, and then stability. This is very stable. So movement. You got to move every day. You got to move every day against resistance. One of the things I do is called a +1. My goal is 100. I'm at about 80 right now. Means every day I do one more. So I started with something really simple, and I've been an athlete and an exerciser for most of my life. I've also been really, really sore lots of times, and I'm tired of it. I don't want any part of that. So I said, okay, I'm going to see how this works. And it's worked really well for me personally. It's really worked well in my practice. +1. So I decided I would do an air squat, because you have to do that. You have to put your shoes on, you have to pick stuff up, and I would do some push-ups. 1. So day 1, 1 air squat, 1 push-up. Whew. I feel good. I'm on it. Day 2, 2 air squats, 2 push-ups, 3, 4, on. I got up to about 80, and then for whatever reason I broke and I stopped. And I didn't get up and do my yoga in the morning. I didn't do my +1. I didn't do my reading, and I had an awful week last week. So I started thinking about what's the deal? Why am I tired when I get out of bed? Why am I not happy? Why am I like dragging to work? Well, this is no good, because I missed that part of my day. And so prevention, number 1, posture, number 2, but that whole idea of making sure that your brain is engaged. We have some interesting wiring in our brain. We have 4 distinct processes. 1 is to maintain positivity. We've got that. Hey, this is great. Hey, she's pretty. Wow, this tastes good. We've got positivity, and there's a part of our brain that actually handles that mechanics. The other is recovery from negative. So we analyze something and finally go, well, it's not that bad. I guess I'll never do that again. And so it returns us to that level of positivity. We've got an area of focus to help us maintain and stay on task. I aided myself with a couple little notes right here. And then we have a part that it responds to generosity, or acts of generosity, or acts of cooperation. We're actually wired as humans to survive, to reproduce, and to cooperate. It's how we went from being not the king, because we're not as hairy as a grizzly bear, our claws are not nearly as long, and our teeth aren't nearly as sharp. We don't run as fast as a cheetah, and all the other apex predators around there. How did these skinny, hairless, not tooth having and no claw owning, how did we get to be the top of the food chain? It's because we cooperate with each other. You probably know how that works here. When you cooperate, you achieve more together. Absolutely vital. So let's go over some of these exercises that I have for you. Let's start with Fonzie, chicken, and Jerry curls. Why? Because who could forget Fonzie? I think, and if I go around the room, you may be the only one who doesn't know Fonzie. Do you know Fonzie?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, so you have an assignment. Your assignment is go to TV Land, look up Happy Days, and see this dude, Henry Winkler, wearing jeans, t-shirt, and a leather jacket, and he goes, "Hey," right? All right, so everybody stand up with me. We're gonna do the Fonzie together. You've got one to take home. Fonzie goes like this. All these exercises have 4 steps to them. Step 1 is to put your hands by your sides. Step 2, just roll your hands out like Fonzie, right? And I say Fonzie because it makes you laugh. And you've got an anchor. If I say, all right, stand in erect posture, assume anatomical position, externally rotate your shoulders. And you're like, huh? Right, Fonzie. Same thing, I'm just speaking English now. So 1 is up, 2 is Fonzie, 3, slightly extend your shoulders, and 4, tip your head back. And when your head's tipped back, now we all make the Fonzie sound, ay. Right, and things that are anchored in humor you will own forever. I now own a piece of real estate in each and every one of your minds. Thank you very much. Okay, so Fonzie, 1, 2, 3, 4, ay. The second one is chicken. You guys have been to a wedding dance and done this number? Right, so from Fonzie, we just bend our elbows to 90. We abduct our shoulders. We retract our elbows back, and we tip our head back, and we make our chicken sound. Once again, with that little bit of humor, I just bought an addition to the real estate, and I own more of your brain. I'm going to put a garage there. All right. So now, from chicken, we do this thing. My friend Jerry made this up, and Jerry had no hair, so we affectionately call this exercise Jerry curls. From chicken, we go straight out. We turn our hands over. We make small circles backwards, and we tip our head back. The trick about this one is you may feel it in the shoulder, you may feel it in what's called the cubital fossa, or the inside of your elbow, or you may feel it in the carpal tunnel. What's happening is you're firing those agonist and antagonist muscle groups, and you're taking yourself back to your normal posture. Now, grab a seat for a second, because these postures are important. They're really important. Ask you a question. We talked about posture being one of the keys, one of the things we have to deal with. Vikings fans, anyone? All right, so insert sports team here, but we'll use the Vikings for lack of a better example. What's the posture when the Vikings shank yet another field goal? Oh. What is the posture when up it goes, or they hit one in the corner? Woo! So think for a second about your working posture, and think for a second about the exercises I just taught you. Notice the difference, the flexion and extension? Now, flexion isn't inherently bad, but it's really easy to get hurt in flexion, and it's really hard to get hurt in extension. You can still do it. Bend your finger back. Ouch, stop. But this is significant because it puts us back into neutral, normal posture. Now, something else. Remember we talked about we've got those 4 sections of our brain, that positive section, that negative section that goes, oh yeah, I don't like being here, I'm going back to the positive section. So the negative return that brings us back to positive. That area of focus in the generosity. Think about this. If you're in a defensive posture, everyone assume in a defensive posture. Are we flexed or are we extended? We're flexed. If I want to give you something, if I want to give you a gift, here. Am I flexed or extended? I'm extended. And this is something that I just came up with this. I'm reading a book right now about the Dalai Lama and about Bishop Desmond Tutu, and they're talking about joy. It's called the Book of Joy. And they talked about this whole thing. That's where some of this little bit of neurology comes from. In that act of giving, not only do we feel good about it, but if you watch me give her a gift, it's like, oh, that's really cool. I like that. Simon Sinek talks about that, where a guy drops all his papers on the ground, and he gathers up the papers, and he gives them, and the guy says, that was really nice, that was really cool. Whole room gets better. You watch your kids walk across, graduation, ta-da, a little serotonin dump, I feel good, I graduated, ta-da. Mom and dad and grandpa and your siblings are all like, yahoo, I get his room when he's gone. But yeah, we're so proud of him. When we give, that act of giving dumps serotonin, which is a good chemical, and dopamine makes us feel happy. So, yes, they scored. Oh, interesting. Here, please accept this gift. One last piece about that. They did a study with babies. And babies that were left in the crib, I don't know who gets to do this kind of stuff because I'd like to punch them, but they let the babies look at each other. Those babies had a higher level of cooperation. They faced the babies away from each other, not so much. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting if you have a companion or a spouse or whatnot, if you turn your back to them, and I can tell you this, guess what? I was married before, I'm not any longer. I can tell you exactly how to stay married or how to get unmarried, because there's a bunch of it I did just wrong. Something called the arc triangle. Our affinity, how much do we like something, is based on how well we communicate with them and how much rapport we have with them. It's really hard for me to teach you guys anything standing like this, pointing at my PowerPoint. There's a reason I'm up here trying to get closer to you guys, and the reason I draw, because these are sketchy, a third grader could do this. But there's a reason that I'm engaged with you and reaching towards you. It's because it's that act of giving, number one. I got something to share. And number two, we're engaged. I mean, if we challenge, except because you keep hiding behind the camera or I keep moving, right? I've engaged each of your eyes, and that's important. That connection, just like those babies, creates cooperation. If I want you to do anything that I teach you today, if you hang on to just one piece of it, I have to engage with each of you. And by engaging with you, now we cooperate and we're healthier. I I think that's what I've got. I guess the last one I was going to say, think about, when you're tense. Think about when your backpack comes off. So much so, there are acupuncture points. On the top of the head, well, not so much. There's one there. But there's two others that if you measure halfway between your neck and halfway between your shoulder, you'll find a thick spot right in the top of your trapezius. If you rub that on yourself, or if you rub that on someone else, it feels so good. It's because it's a master point for the head and neck. Oh, Fonzie, chicken, Jerry curls, head and neck for neck and shoulder relief. All right? There's more. There's one right here. And two right on the, if you take your glute and you divide it in half and divide the half in half, it's right there. Now here's the funny thing about these two sets of acupuncture points. Long day, mandatory overtime, all kinds of stuff. Finally get the project done. The machine ships, or the design is made, or whatever other supporting mechanism. Ta-da, done. What do? Why do you suppose you grab those spots instinctively? Because they're the answer. They're right there.